Happy World UFO Day! It's time for some UFO disclosure. By which, of course, I mean the mummies. Let's talk mummies, y'all. Get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, I really feel for Joyce Mantilla right here, where he says, years fighting in Latin America against misinformation that speculates with llama skulls, dogs, cats, etc. Now should we do the same in English and Russian, Japanese, and Italian? That's really exhausting. Yeah, I really feel for him. Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to do some damage control after Professor Brown's appearance on The Good Trouble Show, where he revives the llama skull hypothesis. So are the mummies fabrications? Are they constructs made by the indigenous people 1,000 or more years ago for whatever reason? Maybe because they interacted with beings? Or are the bodies actually bodies in genuine anomalous beings that once lived and breathed, if they did breathe? Well, of course they were, but why is that? Well, one of the interesting pieces of evidence that we have is that there was osmium in some of the implants. I posed the question yesterday, because it's not on the Alien Project website where so much of the data is collected. The part about the osmium and the breakdown of the implants, of the metals in the implants, osmium is not mentioned. But I was pretty sure osmium was in there. So I look for it, and some of you guys supplied information too. I really appreciate that. That's awesome, guys. Thank you so much. And here's what Dr. O'Connor said. Yeah, I should know that name. Dr. O'Connor said on The Good Trouble Show, talking about that very thing.
The one you see on the left here is Josephina, or Josefina, as they would say in Mexico or Peru. And she has these metal implants. Now, this is a plain film X-ray, so you don't see a lot of scattering artifact as you would see in a CT scan. But she's got this metal implant on her anterior chest wall there. And the individual that was involved in removing a piece of this to have it studied and metallurgically analyzed, found that this device was actually fused with Josefina's skin and underlying muscle, and was very difficult to lift off of her chest wall without damaging her skin. And keep in mind too that this particular one, I believe she was carbon dated to be around 700 to I think maybe 900 years old. But the interesting thing about this metallic implant is that it was found to have significant content of osmium, and osmium is perhaps the rarest element in Earth's crust. I think it is the rarest element. And it's so rare, in fact, that to get osmium in a significant quantity, let's say enough to amount the size of a sugar cube, that you have to process 10,000 tons of platinum ore in order to get 30 grams of osmium.
So there you go. He goes on, and I'll link to the full interview, and you can listen to it at your leisure. Dr. O'Connor is actually a doctor, an MD, and he has not studied the bodies in person, but he has reviewed the data. And unlike Professor Brown, with all due respect, he is an actual MD, Dr. O'Connor. Here is a scientific paper written by scientists who have actually reviewed the bodies, who have studied the bodies in person, also talking about osmium found in a different implant. This one was found in the mummy Luisa. Now, I'm not familiar with Louisa. I went to the Alien Project website to look at the various mummies that they have information on, and Louisa is not listed. However, Paul in the family is listed. Paul is one of the little guys, and there's two almost identical beings with him that are said to be part of his family. So maybe Louisa is one of those. I don't know. If you guys know, let me know in the comments below. Obviously, there's multiple other little guys, but for some reason, Paul has two other little fellas or ladies that are thought of as his family. But getting back to the scientific paper, it's a long paper, and I'll link to it, and you can read the full thing at your leisure. But yeah, here we go. From the results of the analysis of the implant sample by electron microscopy of scanning and X-ray diffraction, where the presence of chemical elements predominates, such as copper, followed by tin, silver, osmium, carbon localized zone of the sample presence of the transition element osmium. Also, material is observed compact copper, base alloy. There is no presence of arsenic and nickel. Osmium is the densest material that exists in the hardest metal. The hardness is applied Brenel, that is, hardness measured by the depth of penetration. The fact that this metal is so dense means that the individual atoms are very dense and compact with each other. And precisely for this reason, they also have a high melting point. Osmium melts at more than 3,000 Celsius. This high melting temperature was also one of the reasons osmium was used as a conductive metal in the first light bulbs, that is, as filaments. Osmium is considered the most valuable precious metal in the world. Of particular interest is the rarity of the metal, which raises the price. 1 gram of osmium cost about 1,869 euros. If the Nazca pterodactyls mummies are fake, then the question arises as to why the counterfeiters used the world's most expensive precious metal when they could have included any other metal. Yeah, and also we didn't discover osmium until about a couple hundred years ago, and these bodies are much older than that. We've just heard there are some that are actually younger, if you will, than 1,000 years old, but they go back thousands of years. And so it's just fascinating that these multiple of these bodies seem to contain osmium, which is used in really high-tech devices here in our current era. So whoever was putting these implants in had a high degree of technology. The implants were fused to the skin and bone, meaning the beings were alive when the implants were put in. They're not cobbled together dolls, that were stitched together with these implants. And obviously, you're not going to use implants containing extremely precious or very expensive material to put your bodies together with. Anyway, that doesn't make any sense. But the point is, the bodies were alive when the implants were put in, not cobbled together body parts. Dr. Sabine Kramer was an author of that paper, and here she is talking a little bit. It's a long interview, but I'll just play a segment.
To remain open to both. But let's say the tendency of the pointers is more in the direction of being authentic. Because today, with the technology we have in biology, you can't bring arteries, veins, and bones together in such a way that they produce a being whose anatomy would be as logical as what we then have in front of our noses.
Okay, yeah, veins and arteries. Okay, this is from Jose de la Rios Lopez, who, if you may remember, was the author of the original paper that proposed the llama skull theory. Yeah, he's the originator of the llama skull idea, but he has come out as being very pro-mummy and against the llama skull hypothesis, which he posited in the first place. And he says that he was forced to get this information out there in a scientific journal to take a debunking attitude. Otherwise, he couldn't have gotten this information out there, and that's why he came up with the llama skull idea. Well, here's what he has to say about, veins and connective tissue. There are the structures that have been identified in the Josephine mummy, apparently vascular bundles that come out of the skull and others from the neck and end up connecting to the rest of the spine. In other words, not a llama skull mashed onto a body. It is part of the rest of the body. The head is part of the rest of the body. It is all of one piece, like any living being, with connective nerves, tissues, veins, and arteries. For me, this is pretty much a mic drop. This is the silver bullet. They were once living beings, guys. There's not a llama skull. It's not a construct. They were living beings. Living beings capable of high technology, or at least in contact with beings of high technology. And here, of course, is John McDowell, who won the equivalent of the Nobel Prize in forensic science.
Specimens that we've examined, some people are calling them bodies, mummies. I'm going to call them specimens. Specimens are real. There are humanoid characteristics, anthropologic findings, osteology, bone analysis, teeth analysis that say that these are human or human-like, the ones that I've evaluated. There are some that are clearly not human. Just let me put it that way.
Okay, there you go. The sound quality is really bad, but there you go. He says they were real. The ones that he studied, like Maria principally, were human, but there are some that were clearly not human, and they were real. And this is a guy who is an expert, an admitted expert in his field in forensics. Yes, I know he's a dentist, but he did win the award in forensic science. His expertise in forensics is what's important here, and he says they were living beings, and when he studied Maria, he said she was a genuine tridactyl being. Now, his research so far is preliminary. I'm really hoping he gets a chance to go back there and really dive deep into the research to give his conclusive thoughts on the Nazca beings. I think we need that now more than ever for great researchers and forensic specialists to get involved in the research. Yeah, so osmium was used in the implants. No hoaxer is ever going to use that. And besides, the mummies are hundreds or thousands of years old before we discovered osmium. So yeah, not us. We did not make these. The locals did not make them. They did not have access to this high technology. And what's more, the beings have a connective tissue from their heads to their bodies and their spines, clearly indicating that they were once living beings, as do the implants themselves, which were fused to their skin and bone. Again, they were alive when those implants were put in. So yeah, these little guys and the big guys and the bigger guys, all of them were once living beings, not cobbled together dolls or hoaxes or constructs. So let's all try to put the words of Professor Brown to the side. I mean, I appreciate that he's getting into the research, and I appreciate his thoughts. But, he might need to be put in touch with people who have directly been involved in the research on the specimens to point out any inaccuracies that he may have fallen prey to. I'd much rather focus on the unresolved mysteries regarding the mummies, regarding the beings, the specimens, whatever you want to call them. For example, why are grapes found in their digestive tracts, grapes which were not native to the New World? What's up with that, guys? That's really intriguing. Did they have contact with the Old World? The elongated beings of Paracas, according to the work of Brian Forster, originated in the Black Sea. Could the elongated skull people have brought some grapes with them and shared them with the Nazca beings? Just throwing that out there, guys. Let me know what you think. Either way, I will be going to the Black Sea, to the country of Georgia. Very soon, I'll be going in September, and I'll have more details about that very soon. But let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure appreciate it. Smash the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Discord links below. Love to see you guys there. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or by becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much. Also, channel members frequently get to see videos hours ahead of everybody else. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.